Jonas Whitmore kissed his daughters goodbye, walked into the blizzard, and never looked back. Grace was 8 years old enough to understand that her father's cough had turned to blood, old enough to know that the letter he'd pressed into her hands wasn't a goodbye, it was a death sentence. Behind her, Lily whispered, "When is Papa coming back?" Grace had no answer. She only had a promise from a dying man and a cabin growing colder by the minute. If you're watching from anywhere in the world, comment your city below so I can see how far this story travels. Subscribe, stay with me until the end, because what happened next changed everything. Papa, don't. Grace grabbed her father's coat with both hands. Her fingers were already numb. The cabin door stood open, letting in snow and wind, and the kind of cold that killed. Jonas Whitmore looked down at his daughter. His face was gray. His eyes were wet. "Let go, Grace." "No. Grace. You're sick. You need to stay. I can take care of you. I can—" "You can't." Jonas knelt down. His knees cracked against the frozen floor. "You can't take care of me, sweetheart. Nobody can." "That's not true." "It is." He coughed. Blood flecked his lips. He wiped it away before Grace could see, but she'd already seen. She'd been seeing for weeks. "The consumption's got me. You know what that means." Grace knew. She'd watched Mrs. Henderson die of it last spring. Watched her cough and waste and shrink until there was nothing left but bones and bloody handkerchiefs. "Then let me stay with you," she said. "Let me be there when—" "No." Jonas gripped her shoulders. His hands were shaking. Everything about him was shaking now. "Listen to me, Grace. Listen careful. You've got maybe 3 days of food, maybe 4 if you stretch it. After that, you've got nothing. I can hunt. You're 8 years old. You can't hunt in a blizzard. You can't walk to town through 4 feet of snow. And you can't—" His voice broke. "You can't watch me die. I won't let you carry that. So you're just gonna leave us? Leave us here alone? I'm giving you a chance." "A chance at what? Freezing to death." Jonas pulled the letter from his coat. The paper was already soft from how many times he'd folded and unfolded it. "Someone will come," he said. "Someone always comes." "That's a lie." "It's hope." "Same thing." Jonas almost smiled. "Almost. You're too smart for your own good. Always have been." "Papa, there's a letter here." He pressed it into her hands. "When someone comes, and someone will come, Grace, I believe that with everything I've got, you give them this. It explains who you are. It explains what happened. It asks them to help. And if nobody comes—" Jonas was quiet for a long moment. The wind howled. Snow swirled through the open door. Somewhere behind them, Lily stirred in her sleep. "Then you walk," he said finally. "You wait 3 days. If nobody comes, you bundle up your sister and you walk toward town. Follow the creek bed. It'll take you there eventually." "That's 10 miles, Papa." "I know. In this cold, I know. We'll die." "Maybe." Jonas cupped her face in his hands. His palms were ice. "But maybe is better than definitely. If I stay, we all die. That's definite. That's certain. But if I go, we might still die. Or you might live." His eyes were bright with tears. "That's all I can give you, Grace. A chance. A maybe. It's not enough. I know it's not enough. But it's everything I've got left." Grace wanted to argue, wanted to scream, wanted to grab him and hold him and never let go. Instead, she asked, "Will you come back?" Jonas pressed his forehead to hers. His breath was warm and smelled like copper. "I'll try." "That's not a yes." "No, it's not." He kissed her forehead. Then he stood, steadied himself against the doorframe, and stepped out into the white. Grace watched him go. 10 steps. 20. 30. The snow swallowed him whole. She stood there until she couldn't feel her feet, couldn't feel her hands, couldn't feel anything except the terrible empty place where her heart used to be. Then Lily's voice came from behind her. "Grace, where's Papa going?" Grace closed the door. "Nowhere," she said. "Papa's not going anywhere." The first night was the longest of Grace's life. Lily wouldn't stop asking questions. When is Papa coming back? Soon. Where did he go? Town. Why? To get medicine. For his cough. Yes. Will the medicine make him better? Grace fed another stick to the fire. They were running low. Papa had been too sick to chop wood for weeks, and the pile by the hearth was shrinking fast. Grace. Will the medicine make him better? Go to sleep, Lily. I'm not tired. Then pretend. I don't want to pretend. I want Papa. Papa's not here. I know. That's why I want him. Grace closed her eyes. The fire crackled. The wind screamed. And somewhere out there her father was walking toward his death, so they might have a chance to live. Tell me a story, Lily said. I don't know any stories. Yes, you do. Mama used to tell them to you and you remember everything. Grace turned. Lily was sitting up on the pallet, her golden hair tangled, her blue eyes too big for her thin face. She looked like a ghost already. A pretty little ghost waiting to happen. Please, Grace, I'm scared. And just like that, Grace's anger melted away. She crossed to the pallet and climbed in beside her sister, pulling the thin blanket over them both. Lily snuggled close, her small body warm against Grace's side. What kind of story do you want? A happy one. Happy ones aren't real. I don't care. I want one anyway. Grace thought for a moment. Then she began. Once upon a time there was a little girl who lived in a cabin in the mountains. Like us. Like us. But her cabin was warm, and her pantry was full, and her papa never got sick. That sounds nice. It was nice. Every day the little girl would wake up and have eggs for breakfast. I like eggs. I know you do. And after breakfast, she'd go outside and play in the snow. And when she got cold, she'd come back inside, and her mama would wrap her in a big warm blanket. Like Mama used to do. Grace's throat tightened. Like Mama used to do. I miss Mama. I know, me too. Do you think she's in heaven? I think she's wherever good people go. Is Papa going to go there too? Grace didn't answer. She couldn't. Grace, go to sleep, Lily. But, please, just go to sleep. Lily was quiet for a moment. Then her small hand found Grace's and squeezed. I love you, Grace. I love you too. Even when you're mean. I'm not mean. I'm tired. Same thing. Grace almost laughed. Almost. Where'd you learn that? From you. Lily's breathing slowed. Her grip on Grace's hand loosened. Within minutes, she was asleep. Grace lay awake staring at the ceiling, listening to the wind tear at the walls. 3 days of food. Maybe 4 if she stretched it. Then nothing. Chatosu. Day 2. The food was disappearing faster than Grace had planned. Lily was hungry, constantly, desperately hungry. She'd wake up asking for breakfast, spend the morning asking for lunch, and cry herself to sleep, waiting for a dinner that never quite filled her up. I'm hungry, Grace. I know. Can I have more bread? You already had your share. But I'm still hungry. I know, but if we eat it all now, we won't have anything for tomorrow. I don't care about tomorrow. I care about now. Well, I care about tomorrow, so you're going to have to wait. Lily's lower lip trembled. You're mean. I know. Papa wouldn't make me wait. Papa's not here. The words came out harder than Grace intended. She saw Lily flinch, saw the tears spring to her eyes, and felt something crack inside her chest. Lily, I want Papa. Lily's voice was rising, tipping toward hysteria. I want Papa back. I want Mama back. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be cold and hungry and scared. I want to go home. This is home. No, it's not. Home is where Mama used to sing, and Papa used to carry me on his shoulders, and we had meat for dinner, and I wasn't hungry all the time. Lily was crying now, great heaving sobs that shook her whole body. This isn't home. This is just a place where bad things happen. Grace didn't know what to say. She crossed to her sister and pulled her into a hug. Lily fought at first, pushing and hitting, but Grace held on. She held on until Lily stopped fighting. Until the sobs faded to whimpers. Until they were just two little girls clinging to each other in a freezing cabin while the world outside tried to kill them. I'm sorry, Grace whispered. I'm sorry I'm mean. I'm sorry about the food. I'm sorry Papa left. I'm sorry about everything. It's not your fault. I know, but I'm sorry anyway. Lily pulled back, wiping her nose on her sleeve. Grace? Yeah. Are we going to die? The question hung in the air, heavy, unavoidable. Grace could have lied, should have lied. That's what parents did, wasn't it? They lied to protect you from the truth. But she wasn't a parent. She was 8 years old, and she was tired of lying. I don't know, she said. Maybe. I don't want to die. Me neither. If we die, will we see Mama again? I hope so. And Papa. Yeah, and Papa. Lily nodded, slowly processing this. Then she said, Okay. Okay. If we die, at least we'll be together. All of us. That's not so bad. Grace felt tears burning in her eyes. She blinked them back. No, she said. That's not so bad. Night 2. Something was outside. Grace heard it first, a scratching sound against the cabin wall. Low, persistent, getting closer. She grabbed the fire poker and stood between the sound and her sister. Grace? Lily's voice was groggy. What is it? Nothing. Go back to sleep. But, sleep, Lily, now. The scratching moved, along the wall, toward the door. Grace's hands were shaking so hard the poker rattled. She tightened her grip and tried to remember everything Papa had taught her about being brave. Brave doesn't mean you're not scared, he'd said once. Brave means you're scared, but you do it anyway. She was scared. God, she was so scared. The scratching stopped. Grace held her breath. 1 second. 2. 3. Then a howl split the night. Long, lonely, close. Wolf. Grace's knees went weak. She grabbed the door frame to steady herself. Behind her, Lily started crying. It's okay, Grace said. Her voice didn't sound like her own. It's just a wolf. They don't come inside. They can't get in. Are you sure? I'm sure. She wasn't sure. She wasn't sure of anything anymore. The howl came again. Closer this time. Then another answered it from somewhere to the east. A pack. There was a pack out there. Grace looked at the fire. It had burned down to embers. She'd been rationing the wood, trying to make it last, but now she grabbed every stick she could find and threw them on the flames. The fire roared back to life, sending sparks up the chimney and pushing back the shadows. Wolves are afraid of fire, she remembered. They won't come near it. She hoped that was true. She prayed it was true. The howling continued for what felt like hours, sometimes close, sometimes distant. Grace sat with her back against the door, the poker across her knees, and didn't sleep. When dawn finally came, gray and cold and silent, she was still there, still waiting, still alive. Day 3. The food was gone. Grace had given Lily the last piece of bread for breakfast, had watched her sister eat it in tiny bites, trying to make it last, had smiled and said, "That's good, isn't it?" while her own stomach screamed with hunger. Now there was nothing left. No bread, No dried meat, no withered apples, nothing. Grace. Lily's voice was weak. She hadn't gotten up from the pallet all day. I don't feel good. Grace crossed to her sister and touched her forehead, hot, burning hot. You've got a fever. My head hurts. I know, baby. Try to rest. I'm thirsty. I'll get you water. Grace filled a cup from the bucket by the door. The water had a thin film of ice on top. She broke it with her finger and brought the cup to Lily's lips. Drink slow. Lily took a sip, coughed, took another. Grace. Yeah? Is Papa coming back? Grace closed her eyes. 3 days. Papa had said someone would come in 3 days. That help would arrive. That they just had to hold on. 3 days had passed. No one had come. No, Grace said quietly. I don't think Papa's coming back. Oh. Lily's voice was small, accepting, like she'd known all along, but had been waiting for Grace to confirm it. Am I going to die, Grace? No. You said maybe yesterday. I was wrong. How do you know? Grace didn't know. She didn't know anything. She was 8 years old, alone with her sick sister. No food, no help, no hope. But she said, because I won't let you. Because we're going to get through this. Because... She stopped. Listened. There. In the distance. Muffled by snow and wind, but unmistakable. Hoofbeats. Grace scrambled to the window, wiped the frost from the glass with her sleeve, pressed her face against the cold. A rider, coming through the trees. Not Papa. This man was younger, broader, sitting his horse like he'd been born in the saddle. But a rider, a person, someone who could help. Grace grabbed Papa's letter from the table and ran for the door. She yanked it open and stumbled out into the snow. Help! Her voice cracked. Too weak. Too quiet. She tried again. Help! Please, help us. The rider's head snapped up. He was maybe 50 yards away, picking his way through the drifts. At her shout, he kicked his horse forward. Grace waved her arms. The cold bit into her exposed skin. She didn't care. Please, my sister's sick. We don't have food. Please. The rider reached her in what felt like hours but was probably seconds. He swung down from his horse before it had fully stopped, his boots sinking into the snow up to his knees. What in God's name? He stopped, stared at her. Are you alone out here? Grace thrust the letter at him. Her hands were shaking. Her whole body was shaking. Please, please read it. Please help us. The man took the letter, opened it. His eyes moved across the words. Grace watched his face change confusion to shock, to something that looked like rage. Your father left you here. It wasn't a question. He's sick, dying. He said someone would come. He said, where's your sister? Inside. She's got a fever. She won't eat. But the man was already moving. He pushed past Grace and into the cabin, bringing cold air and snow and something else with him. Something that felt like hope. Grace followed. Found him kneeling beside Lily's pallet, his hand on her forehead. She's burning up. His voice was tight, controlled. How long? Since yesterday. Maybe the day before. I don't know. Everything's blurred together. Yeah. He stood. I'm Sam Callahan. I'm going to get you both out of here. How? We can't walk. Lily can't even stand. Then I'll carry her. And if you can't walk, I'll carry you too. Sam was already moving, pulling blankets from the pallet, wrapping them around Lily's small body. There's a town about 8 miles west. Got a doctor, got food, got everything you need. That's too far. In this cold, then we'll go fast. Sam lifted Lily like she weighed nothing. The little girl's head lolled against his shoulder. She didn't wake up. Can you ride? Yes, I think so. Then get on the horse. I'll hand her up to you. Wait. Sam stopped, looked at her. Why are you doing this? Grace asked. You don't know us. You don't owe us anything. Why would you? Because I found you. Sam's voice was rough. His eyes were dark. And when you find someone who needs help, you help them. That's it. That's the whole reason. But, little girl, we don't have time for buts. Your sister's dying. You're not far behind. Now get on that horse before I throw you on it. Grace got on the horse. Sam handed Lily up to her careful, gentle, like he was handling something precious. Then he grabbed the reins and started walking. Aren't you going to ride? Horse can't carry all three of us through this snow. I'll walk. But your feet? We'll be fine. It's 8 miles. I've walked further. Grace wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him this was crazy, that he'd freeze before they got halfway, that no one would walk 8 miles through a blizzard for 2 girls he'd never met. But he was already moving, already pulling them forward, already doing exactly what her father had promised someone would do. She held Lily tight and watched the cabin disappear behind them. Goodbye, she thought. Goodbye to the place where Mama died and Papa left and everything fell apart. Then she turned her face forward and let Sam Callahan lead them toward whatever came next. The cold was a living thing. It crawled into Grace's bones. It turned her fingers to stone. It wrapped around her chest and squeezed until every breath felt like swallowing broken glass. But she held on to Lily, held on tight, and she watched Sam Callahan walk through waist-deep snow like it was nothing more than a Sunday stroll. How much further? She called out. 6 miles, maybe 7. You said 8 before. We've been walking. For how long? Couple hours. Grace looked down at Lily. Her sister's face was pale, too pale. Her breathing was shallow, each exhale a tiny puff of white that disappeared almost before it formed. She's getting worse. Sam didn't turn around, didn't slow down. I know. What if she won't? How do you know? Because I won't let her. It was the same thing Grace had said to Lily the day before. The same desperate promise, the same stubborn refusal to accept the unacceptable. She wondered if Sam believed it any more than she had. They walked in silence after that. The only sounds were the crunch of snow under Sam's boots, the heavy breathing of the horse, and the wind that never seemed to stop. Grace's arms ached from holding Lily. Her legs were numb from the cold. Her eyes burned from staring into the endless white. But she didn't complain. Didn't ask to stop. Didn't do anything except hold her sister and pray to a God she wasn't sure was listening. There. Sam's voice cut through the silence. See it. Grace squinted. At first, she saw nothing but more snow, more trees, more of the same frozen hell they'd been trudging through for hours. Then she saw it. Smoke. Rising in the distance, thin and gray against the white sky. Is that town? We're almost there. Grace felt something loosen in her chest, something she'd been holding tight for days. We're going to make it. Sam finally turned around. His face was red from cold. Ice had formed in his eyebrows and on the stubble along his jaw. But his eyes were steady. Yeah, he said. We're going to make it. They reached the edge of town just as the sun began to set. Grace had lost track of time somewhere in the endless white, but she figured they'd been walking for 4 or 5 hours. Maybe more. Sam's steps had slowed over the last mile. His breathing had gotten heavier. But he hadn't stopped, hadn't complained, hadn't done anything except put one foot in front of the other until the buildings finally appeared through the snow. Where are we going? Grace asked. Doctor first. Then we'll figure out the rest. What about you? Your feet must be frozen solid. Yeah. Sam kept walking. Doctor can look at them after he looks at your sister. But your sister first, everything else after. Grace wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him he was being stupid, that frozen feet could mean losing them, that he was risking too much for two girls he'd never met. But she was too tired, too cold, too scared. So she just held Lily and let Sam lead them through the empty streets. The town was small, maybe 30 buildings in all. Most of them were dark, their windows shuttered against the cold, but a few showed signs of life, smoke rising from chimneys, lanterns glowing behind frost-covered glass. Sam stopped in front of a white house with green shutters. A small sign hung by the door, Dr. Henry Aldridge, physician. "Stay here," Sam said. He tied the horse to the hitching post and climbed the steps to the door. His fist pounded against the wood. "Doctor, open up! I've got a sick child out here!" Silence. Sam pounded again, harder. "Doctor!" A light flickered inside. Footsteps approached. The door swung open to reveal a small man in wire-rimmed spectacles, his white hair mussed from sleep. "What in God's name?" "Girl's got a fever. Bad one. Been sick for days. No food, no medicine, nothing. She needs help now." Dr. Aldridge peered past Sam to where Grace sat on the horse Lily cradled in her arms. "Bring her inside, quickly." Sam crossed back to the horse and lifted Lily down with the same gentleness he'd shown before. Grace tried to dismount on her own, but her legs buckled the moment her feet touched the ground. Sam caught her with one arm, Lily still held in the other. "Easy, I've got you." "I can walk." "Sure you can, but you don't have to." He half-carried Grace up the steps and into the doctor's house. The warmth hit her like a physical blow. She gasped, and tears sprang to her eyes from the heat or the relief she couldn't tell. "This way." Dr. Aldridge led them down a narrow hallway to a small examination room. "Put her on the table." Sam laid Lily down carefully. The little girl didn't stir, didn't react at all. Grace's heart clenched. She's breathing?" Dr. Aldridge was already working his hands, moving with practiced efficiency. He checked Lily's pulse, her temperature, the glands in her neck. "How long has she been like this?" 2 days, maybe 3. And before that, any symptoms, coughing, vomiting. She was hungry. We all were. Then she started saying she was cold even when the fire was going. Then the fever came and she just... Grace's voice broke. "She just stopped waking up." Dr. Aldridge listened to Lily's chest with a stethoscope. His face was unreadable. "What is it?" Grace demanded. "What's wrong with her?" "Fever, dehydration, malnutrition." The doctor straightened. "Her body's shutting down. It's trying to conserve energy because it doesn't have enough fuel to keep going." "Can you fix her?" "I can try." Dr. Aldridge looked at Sam. "I'll need to keep her here, at least a week, maybe longer." "Whatever it takes." "It'll take money. Medicine isn't free." "How much?" "For the treatment she needs $5, maybe more." Sam reached into his coat and pulled out a worn leather wallet. His fingers were clumsy, frozen, Grace realized. He could barely grip the bills. "Here's 3, he said. "I'll get you the rest." "How?" "I'll find a way." Dr. Aldridge studied Sam for a long moment. Then he nodded. "I'll get started. The girl." He looked at Grace. "She needs food and rest, too. There's a boarding house 2 streets over. Martha Holloway's place. Tell her I sent you. She'll give you a room." "I'm not leaving my sister." "You're no good to your sister if you collapse." Dr. Aldridge's voice was firm but not unkind. "You need to eat. You need to sleep. And you need to let me work." "But..." "He's right." Sam put a hand on Grace's shoulder. "Come on. We'll get you settled, get some food in you, then you can come back and check on her." "I don't want to leave her." "I know, but she's in good hands now. Best thing you can do for her is take care of yourself." Grace looked at Lily. So small on that big table. So pale. So still. "I'll be back," she whispered. "I promised Lily. I'll be back." Then she let Sam lead her out of the doctor's house and into the cold evening air. Martha Holloway's boarding house was exactly what Dr. Aldridge had described: clean, respectable, and warm. The woman who answered the door was old but sturdy, with iron gray hair and sharp blue eyes that took in Grace's ragged state with a single glance. "Dr. Aldridge sent us," Sam said. "Girl needs a room." "I can see that." Mrs. Holloway stepped aside. "Come in before you freeze to death on my porch." The interior was simple but comfortable. A fire crackled in the parlor. The smell of bread hung in the air. Grace's stomach growled so loudly that Mrs. Holloway raised an eyebrow. "When's the last time you ate, child?" "I don't remember." "That long, huh?" Mrs. Holloway shook her head. "Sit down. I'll bring you something." Grace sat. Her body ached in ways she hadn't known were possible. Every muscle, every joint, every inch of frozen skin now thawing in the warmth of the fire. Sam remained standing, shifting his weight from foot to foot. "You should sit too," Grace said. "I'm fine." "Your feet are frozen." "I've had worse." "Sit down." Something in her voice made him obey. He lowered himself into the chair across from her, grimacing as he moved. "Thank you," Grace said quietly. "For what?" "For finding us. For bringing us here. For everything." Sam shrugged. Anyone would have done the same. "No, they wouldn't." Grace met his eyes. "My father left us under that tree because he believed someone would help. But we waited 3 days. 3 days, and nobody came except you. Then I guess I was meant to come along." "You don't believe that?" "No, I don't believe in fate or destiny or any of that." Sam leaned back in his chair. "I believe in choices. I chose to ride down that road. I chose to stop when I saw the cabin. I chose to help." "Why?" The question hung between them. Sam was quiet for a long moment. The fire crackled. Outside, the wind moaned against the windows. "When I was about your age," he said finally, "my mama died. Fever took her. One day she was fine, next day she was gone. I'm sorry. My daddy couldn't handle it. Couldn't handle me either. So he sent me to live with his brother in St. Louis. Uncle Vernon." Sam's jaw tightened. "What happened?" "Vernon wasn't a good man. He drank. He hit. He worked me like a mule and fed me scraps and made sure I knew every single day that I was nothing but a burden." Grace's chest ached. "That's terrible." "It was what it was. I ran off when I was 12. Spent the next few years doing whatever I had to do to survive. Worked cattle drives. Broke horses. Slept rough more nights than not." "And your father, did you ever see him again?" "He died. Few years after he sent me away. Horse kicked him in the head." Sam's voice was flat, emotionless. "I didn't find out until months later. By then there was nothing to go back to." Grace didn't know what to say, so she said the only thing she could think of. "That's why you stopped. Because you knew what it was like." "Yeah." Sam finally looked at her. "I know what it's like to be small and scared and waiting for someone to help. And I know what it's like when nobody does. So when I saw you and your sister..." He shrugged again. "I couldn't ride past. Couldn't pretend I didn't see. Couldn't leave you there to die the way I almost died a dozen times over. But you're not like your uncle. You're good. I try to be. Doesn't always work. It worked today." Sam almost smiled. Almost. Mrs. Holloway returned with a tray, bread butter soup that steamed in the lamplight. She set it on the table beside Grace. "Eat slow. Your stomach's probably shrunk. Too much too fast will make you sick." Grace nodded and reached for the bread. Her hands were shaking. "What about him?" She nodded toward Sam. "I can get my own food," Sam said. "No, you can't. You can barely stand." Mrs. Holloway fixed him with a stern look. "I'll bring you something too, and then I'm calling the doctor to look at those feet." "I'm fine." "Mr. Callahan, I've been running this boarding house for 15 years. I know what frostbite looks like, and you've got it bad. So either you let the doctor look at you willingly, or I'll have some of the men in town hold you down while he does it." Sam stared at her. Mrs. Holloway stared back. "Fine," Sam said finally. "But the girl comes first." "The girl is eating. You're next." She left before he could argue. Grace took a bite of bread. It was the best thing she'd ever tasted. She forced herself to chew slowly the way Mrs. Holloway had said. "She's scary," Grace observed. "She's practical." Sam shifted in his chair, wincing. "Different thing." "Is there a difference?" "Sometimes, sometimes not." They ate in silence after that. Or rather, Grace ate, and Sam picked at the food Mrs. Holloway brought him, his attention constantly drifting toward the door. "You're worried," Grace said. "About what?" "My sister, the money, everything." "I'm not worried." "You're lying." Sam looked at her, really looked at her. "You're too smart for your own good. Anyone ever tell you that?" "My papa, all the time." He was right. Grace set down her spoon. "What's going to happen to us?" "What do you mean?" "After Lily gets better. After everything. What happens then?" Sam didn't answer right away. He stared into the fire, his face shadowed by the flickering light. "I don't know," he admitted. "I've got $40 to my name. Minus what I gave the doctor, that's 37. Enough for maybe 2 weeks in this boarding house. After that, we'll have nowhere to go. I'll figure something out." "How?" "I always do." "That's not a plan." "No, it's not." Sam stood grimacing as his feet took his weight. "But it's what I've got." He moved toward the door. "Where are you going?" "To find work. Town this size, somebody's got to need help with something." "Now, it's dark. It's freezing. Your feet are—" "I know what my feet are." Sam pulled on his coat. "Stay here. Eat. Rest. I'll be back." "Sam." He stopped with his hand on the door. "Thank you," Grace said again. "I know you don't want to hear it. I know you think anyone would have done what you did, but they wouldn't have. And I need you to know that I'm grateful." Sam was quiet for a moment. "Your papa," he said finally. "In his letter, he said you were good girls, kind, obedient." "That's what he wrote." "Yeah. He also said you'd known hardship, but hadn't been hardened by it." Sam opened the door. Cold air rushed in. "I think he was wrong about that last part." "What do you mean?" "I mean you're hard, Grace Whitmore. Hard in all the ways that matter. Hard enough to survive when most grown men would have given up." He stepped out into the night. "That's not an insult. That's a compliment." The door closed behind him. Grace sat alone in the warmth of the fire, thinking about hardness and survival and all the ways a person could break without ever showing the cracks. Then she finished her soup, climbed the stairs to the room Mrs. Holloway had prepared, and slept for the first time in days, without dreaming. She woke to morning light and the sound of voices downstairs. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. The ceiling was unfamiliar. The bed was too soft. The air was too warm. Then it all came rushing back. Papa. The letter. The waiting. Sam. Lily. Grace threw off the covers and ran downstairs, still in the clothes she'd worn the day before. Mrs. Holloway was in the parlor talking to Sam. They both looked up when Grace appeared. "My sister. Is she—" "Still with the doctor," Sam said. "I checked this morning. He says she made it through the night. Fever's still high, but it's not getting worse." Grace sagged against the doorframe. "Can I see her?" "After breakfast." "I'm not hungry." "You're eating anyway." Mrs. Holloway's tone brooked no argument. "Come, sit. There's eggs and bacon and coffee." "I don't drink coffee." "Then you'll have milk. Now sit." Grace sat. Breakfast was quiet. Grace forced down food. She didn't taste her mind on Lily, on the doctor, on everything that could still go wrong. "I found work," Sam said eventually. Grace looked up. Already. Livery stable needs help. Man who runs it is getting old. Can't handle all the horses on his own anymore. Sam took a sip of his coffee. Pay's not great, but it's something. Enough to keep us going for a while. For how long? Long as it takes. And then what? Sam didn't answer. Mrs. Holloway cleared her throat. There's something else you should know. Reverend Crane came by this morning. He heard about you girls. Wants to meet you. Why? The church helps folks in need, finds them places to stay, families to take them in. Mrs. Holloway's voice was careful, neutral. He might have options for you. Grace's stomach dropped. Like an orphanage. Maybe. Or maybe a family willing to foster. We don't need fostering. We have Sam. Mr. Callahan is a single man with limited means. He can. Grace's voice was fierce. He saved us. He's taking care of us. Grace. Sam's voice was quiet. Let her finish. But, let her finish. Grace bit her tongue. Her hands were shaking again. Not from cold this time. Mrs. Holloway sighed. I'm not trying to take you away from Mr. Callahan. I'm just saying there are options. People who might be able to help. We don't need other people. We need... What you need, Mrs. Holloway interrupted, is to see your sister. Come on. I'll walk you to the doctor's. Grace wanted to argue, wanted to scream that she didn't want options or help or anything except to be left alone with Sam and Lily. But Lily was at the doctor's, and Grace needed to see her. So she stood up, grabbed her coat, and followed Mrs. Holloway out into the cold morning air. Dr. Aldridge's house looked different in daylight. Smaller, more ordinary. Just a white house with green shutters on a quiet street. But inside, Grace's whole world waited. She woke up about an hour ago, Dr. Aldridge said as he led them to the examination room. Asked for water, asked for you. She's awake. In and out. The fever's still fighting, but she's fighting back. Grace pushed past him into the room. Lily was lying on the table, propped up on pillows, now her eyes half open. She looked terrible, pale, thin, dark circles under her eyes. But she was alive. Grace? Grace was at her side in an instant. I'm here. I'm right here. Where did you go? I had to sleep, but I came back. I promised I'd come back. I know. Lily's voice was barely a whisper. You always keep your promises. Grace felt tears burning in her eyes. She blinked them back. How do you feel? Tired, hungry. That's good. Hungry is good. The doctor gave me medicine. It tastes bad. Medicine always tastes bad. That's how you know it's working. Lily almost smiled. Almost. Grace, yeah. Where's Papa? The question hit Grace like a punch to the stomach. She'd known it was coming, had been dreading it since the moment she walked into the room. Papa's gone, Lily. Gone where? Just gone. Is he coming back? Grace opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. No, she said finally. He's not coming back. Lily was quiet for a long moment. Her small hand found Grace's and held on tight. Okay, she said. Okay. You're still here. That's what matters. Grace couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. She just held her sister's hand and let the tears fall. Behind her, she heard the door open and close. Heard Sam's voice low and quiet, talking to Dr. Aldridge. Heard words like fever and recovery and time. But all she could focus on was Lily's hand in hers. Small, warm, alive. They'd made it. Against all odds, against everything that had tried to kill them, they'd made it. Grace didn't know what came next. Didn't know where they'd live, or how they'd survive, or what would happen when Sam's money ran out. But for this moment, none of that mattered. Her sister was alive. She was alive. And somewhere out there, she had to believe her father was at peace. knowing that his impossible choice had given them this. A chance. A maybe. And sometimes, maybe was enough. The days blurred together after that. Grace spent every waking hour at Dr. Aldridge's house, sitting beside Lily's bed, holding her hand, telling her stories about Mama and the farm in Ohio and the white horse that Mama used to ride. Lily got stronger, slowly, painfully slowly, but stronger. The fever broke on the 4th day. By the 5th, she was sitting up on her own. By the 6th, she was asking for real food instead of broth. "I want eggs," she announced one morning. "You'll get eggs when the doctor says you can have eggs." "The doctor's mean." "The doctor saved your life." Lily considered this. "He's still mean." Grace almost laughed. Almost. It was the first time in weeks she'd felt anything close to joy. But outside that small room, problems were piling up like snow against a fence. Sam came by every evening after work. His hands were raw from the cold. His feet were still healing. Dr. Aldridge had treated the frostbite, but 2 of his toes had turned black, and the doctor said they might not recover. "How much longer?" Grace asked one night. They were sitting in the boarding house parlor, Lily asleep upstairs in the room Mrs. Holloway had given them. "How much longer for what?" "Before the money runs out." Sam stared into the fire. "Week, maybe 2 if I stretch it. And then I find more work, or we figure something else out." "What else is there?" Sam didn't answer. Grace knew what else there was. She'd heard Mrs. Holloway talking to Reverend Crane, heard words like orphanage and foster placement and territorial authorities. She'd heard Reverend Crane say that a single man couldn't raise 2 girls on his own, that it wasn't proper, that people would talk. She'd heard Mrs. Holloway agree. "The Reverend came by again," Grace said. "I know. He wants to meet us, wants to talk about options." "I know that too." "Are you going to let him?" Sam finally looked at her. His eyes were dark, tired. "What do you want me to say, Grace?" "I want you to say we're not going anywhere, that we're staying with you, that I can barely take care of myself." The words came out harsh, ragged. "I'm sleeping in the back room of a livery stable because I can't afford a proper bed. I'm working 14 hours a day for wages that barely cover your room and board. I've got $30 left, and that's got to last until I don't even know when." "I don't care." "You should care." "Well, I don't." Grace's voice was fierce. "Papa left us because he thought someone else could do better. He thought giving us up was giving us a chance. And maybe he was right. Maybe Sam Callahan can't give us everything we need. But you know what? You can give us. What? You can stay. You can keep coming back. You can be there." Sam was quiet. "That's all I want," Grace said. "That's all Lily wants. Someone who doesn't leave. Someone who doesn't disappear. Someone who keeps their promises. And if I can't keep them, if the money runs out and I can't feed you and I can't, then we'll figure it out together. But you don't get to decide for us. You don't get to send us away because you think it's what's best." "Your father thought the same thing." "My father was dying. You're not." The words hung between them, heavy, uncomfortable. Sam looked away first. "The Reverend wants to introduce us to a family," he said quietly. "The Porters, William and Agnes Porter. They've fostered children before. Good people according to Mrs. Holloway." "I don't want good people. I want you." "Grace." "No." She stood up. Her hands were shaking. "I'm not doing this again. I'm not standing by while someone else decides what's best for us. Papa did that. He made the choice without asking. And maybe he was right and maybe he was wrong, but I'm not a baby anymore. I get to have a say." "You're 8 years old." "I'm 8 years old, and I've kept my sister alive for 3 days in a freezing cabin with no food and wolves outside the door. I think I've earned the right to an opinion." Sam stared at her. Then slowly, something shifted in his face. Something that might have been respect. "Okay," he said. "Okay what?" "Okay, you get a say. You and Lily both." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "But that means you have to listen too. You have to understand what we're up against." "I understand." Do you understand that this town has rules, that people here have expectations about how things should be, that a man taking care of two girls who aren't his own makes people nervous? Why? Because they don't trust it. Because they think there must be something wrong with me. Because a normal man wouldn't do what I'm doing. Then they're stupid. Maybe. But stupid or not, they've got power. The Reverend can go to the territorial authorities. He can have you taken away, placed in an orphanage in Omaha, and there's not a damn thing I can do about it. Grace felt cold. Colder than she'd felt even in the cabin. Can he really do that? He can try. And if enough people in this town agree with him, he'll probably succeed. So what do we do? Sam was quiet for a long moment. "We meet the Porters," he said finally. "What?" "We meet them. We let them see you and Lily. We show the Reverend and everyone else that we're not hiding anything, that we're willing to work with the community. And then we make them understand that this isn't temporary, that I'm not going anywhere, that these girls belong with me." Grace's heart was pounding. "You mean that?" "I mean it. Even if it's hard, even if people talk, let them talk." Sam's jaw tightened. "I've been talked about my whole life. One more thing won't make a difference." Grace crossed the room and wrapped her arms around him. Sam went stiff, like he didn't know what to do with affection, like no one had hugged him in a very long time. Then his arms came up around her. Awkward, uncertain, but there. "Thank you," Grace whispered. "Don't thank me yet. We haven't won anything. We haven't lost either." "No." Sam pulled back and looked at her. "We haven't lost either." The meeting with the Porters happened 3 days later. Mrs. Holloway had arranged it. Tea in her parlor, like they were civilized people discussing something ordinary instead of the fate of two orphaned girls. Grace dressed Lily in the cleanest clothes they had, the calico dress that Mrs. Holloway had washed, and mended the ribbon that Grace had saved from their mother's things. "Why do we have to meet these people?" Lily asked. "Because they might be able to help us." "Help us? How?" "I don't know yet. Just be polite. Okay? Say please and thank you and don't interrupt." "I never interrupt." "You always interrupt." "Only sometimes." Grace almost smiled. The Porters were already in the parlor when they came down. William Porter was old and thin, with white hair and a face full of kindness. Agnes Porter was round and soft, with the kind of eyes that made you want to tell her all your secrets. Sam was there too, standing by the window, his hat in his hands. He looked uncomfortable, out of place. "You must be Grace and Lily." Agnes Porter stood and crossed to them, taking Grace's hands in hers. "We've heard so much about you." "Good things, I hope," Grace said. "Very good things." Agnes smiled. "Very brave things." "I'm Lily," Lily announced. "I was sick, but I'm better now." "I can see that. You look wonderful." "The doctor said I almost died, but I didn't." Grace winced. "Lily, it's all right." William Porter had risen too slower than his wife. "Children should speak the truth. There's too little of that in the world." They sat. Mrs. Holloway served tea. Reverend Crane arrived late, apologizing for the delay, and took a seat near the door like a guard watching for trouble. "We wanted to meet you," Agnes said, "because we understand you might need somewhere to stay." "We have somewhere to stay," Grace said. "We're staying with Sam." "Mr. Callahan." Reverend Crane's voice was smooth. "Who sleeps in a livery stable and works 14 hours a day?" "Who saved our lives?" Grace shot back. Who walked 8 miles through a blizzard with frozen feet because he wouldn't leave us behind? No one's questioning Mr. Callahan's courage, William Porter said gently. We're questioning whether courage is enough. What else is there? Stability, security, a proper home. Sam's going to get us a proper home. When Grace looked at Sam, he hadn't said a word since the meeting started, just stood by the window, hat in his hands, watching. When I can afford one, Sam said finally. Could be weeks, could be months, I don't know. And in the meantime, Reverend Crane leaned forward. These children need consistency. They need routine. They need someone who stays. Sam's voice was quiet but firm. They need someone who doesn't disappear. They've had enough of people leaving. No one's suggesting you leave Mr. Callahan. We're suggesting you accept help. What kind of help? Agnes and William exchanged a glance. We have room in our home, Agnes said. We've cared for children before, 5 of them over the years. We could take Grace and Lily in, give them stability while you get on your feet. For how long? Grace demanded. As long as needed. And Sam? What happens to him? He would continue working, continue saving, continue building toward the future. And when he's ready, when he has a proper home and proper means, we would help transition you back to him. Grace's heart was pounding. She looked at Lily, who was clutching her hand so tight it hurt. What if we don't want to go? Then you don't go. William Porter's voice was calm. This isn't an order, child. It's an offer. We're not here to take you away from anything. We're here to add to what you already have. Mr. Porter speaks true, Mrs. Holloway added. The Porters have helped many children in difficult circumstances. None of them were taken against their will. But the orphanage, Grace started, is not being discussed. William fixed Reverend Crane with a look. Is it Thomas? The Reverend shifted in his seat. I was merely pointing out the alternatives. There are no alternatives. There is Mr. Callahan's plan, and there is our offer. Nothing else. Grace felt something loosen in her chest. You'd let Sam visit? She asked. Whenever he wanted, Agnes said. Every day. If that's what he chooses. And when he gets his own place. You go with him. No questions asked. Grace looked at Sam again. He was watching the Porters with an expression she couldn't quite read. Wariness, maybe, or hope, or some combination of both. Sam, she said quietly. What do you think? Sam was silent for a long moment. I think, he said finally, that I don't trust easy. Never have. Probably never will. We understand, William said. I think that every time someone's offered to help me, there's been a price. Something they wanted in return. There's no price here. That's what they always say. The room was quiet. The fire crackled. Outside, wind rattled the windows. I grew up hard, Sam continued. No family, no home, no one who gave a damn whether I lived or died. And I survived. I clawed my way through every single day because there was no one else to do it for me. That sounds lonely, Agnes said softly. It was. It is. Sam looked at Grace and Lily. But these two, they're different. They've already lost so much. They've already been through hell, and I'll be damned if I let them go through it alone the way I did. Then don't. William stood and crossed to Sam. He was shorter than the younger man, frailer, but there was strength in his eyes. Let us help. Not because you can't do this alone, I believe you can, but because you don't have to. Sam stared at him. Why? He asked. Why would you do this for strangers? Because we were all strangers once. William's voice was gentle. Because someone helped us when we needed it, and now we help others. Because that's how the world keeps spinning, not through grand gestures, but through small kindnesses, passed from hand to hand. Sam's jaw worked. His eyes were bright. I can't pay you, he said. Not now. Maybe not for a long time. We don't want payment. Then what do you want? To see those girls thrive, to watch them grow up safe and loved, to know that we made a difference. William smiled. Is that so hard to believe? Sam looked at Grace. Grace looked at Lily. Lily tugged on her sister's hand. Grace, can we trust them? It was the question that mattered. The only question that mattered. Grace thought about Papa, about his letter, about the desperate hope that someone good would come along. She thought about Sam, about the way he'd walked 8 miles through a blizzard, about the way he kept showing up day after day, even when it would have been easier to walk away. She thought about Mrs. Holloway and Dr. Aldridge and everyone in this town who had helped without being asked. Maybe the world wasn't as cruel as she'd thought. Maybe there were good people out there. Maybe trust wasn't always a mistake. Yes, she said finally. I think we can. Sam let out a breath he seemed to have been holding for a very long time. Okay, he said. Okay, we'll try it. Agnes Porter's face lit up. William nodded slowly, satisfied. Reverend Crane looked like he wanted to object but thought better of it. And Grace, for the first time since Papa walked into that blizzard, felt something that might have been peace. It wouldn't be easy. She knew that. There would be hard days ahead. Days when she missed Sam. Days when she wished things were different. Days when she wondered if they'd made the right choice. But they weren't alone anymore. And sometimes that made all the difference. When do we start? Lily asked. Agnes laughed. It was a warm sound, a safe sound. Whenever you're ready, sweetheart. Lily looked at Grace. Grace looked at Sam. Sam nodded. How about tomorrow? Grace said. And just like that, the next chapter of their lives began. The first week at the Porter's house was the hardest. Grace woke up every morning confused, reaching for Lily in the dark, heart pounding until she remembered where they were. The bed was too soft, the room was too quiet. Everything smelled like lavender and clean linen instead of wood smoke and fear. You'll get used to it, Agnes said on the third morning, finding Grace standing at the window before dawn. I don't know if I want to. Why not? Because getting used to things means forgetting how they were before. Agnes came to stand beside her. Is that so bad? I don't want to forget my papa, or my mama, or the cabin where we lived. Remembering and moving forward aren't the same thing, child. Agnes's voice was gentle. You can carry the past with you without letting it weigh you down. Grace didn't answer. She wasn't sure she believed that yet, but she wanted to. Lily adjusted faster. She always did. Within days, she was following Agnes around the kitchen, asking questions about everything, demanding to help with chores she was too small to actually do. Can I stir the soup? It's hot, sweetheart. You might burn yourself. I won't. I'm careful. I know you are, but please, Grace lets me help. Grace, listening from the doorway, almost smiled. Grace lets you make a mess is what Grace does. That's not true. Remember the cornbread? Lily's face went red. That was one time. One time that took me an hour to clean up. Agnes laughed. It was becoming a familiar sound, a good sound. Tell you what, Agnes said to Lily. You can stir the soup if you let me hold your hands while you do it. Deal. Deal. Grace watched them work together. Lily's small hands wrapped in Agnes's larger ones. Both of them focused on the pot like it contained the secrets of the universe. This was what normal looked like, she realized. This was what she'd almost forgotten existed. Sam came every Saturday. He'd show up in the early afternoon, hat in his hands, boots clean for once, and spend the rest of the day with them. They'd walk through town or sit in the porter's parlor or help William in his small workshop behind the house. What are you making? Lily asked one Saturday, watching William carve a piece of wood. A horse. For you. For me. If you want it. I want it, I want it. Lily bounced on her heels. Can I help? Carving's dangerous work for small hands. But you can sand it smooth when I'm done. Okay. Grace sat nearby pretending to read, but really watching Sam. He was quieter than usual, distracted. His eyes kept drifting toward the window like he was expecting something. "What's wrong?" she asked when Lily was occupied with William. "Nothing." "Liar." Sam almost smiled. "You're too observant for your own good." "So I've been told. What's wrong?" He was quiet for a moment. Then, the livery stables closing. Grace's stomach dropped. "What?" "Old man Henriksen can't keep up anymore. His son's taking him back east to live with family. They're selling the property. But your job, gone by the end of the month." Grace felt the familiar cold creep of fear. "What are you going to do?" "Looking for something else. There's a ranch north of here, Broken Creek. They're always hiring hands." "A ranch?" Grace's voice was flat. "How far?" 10 miles, maybe 12. "You'd have to live there." "Probably." "So instead of seeing us every Saturday, you'd see us." "When?" "Once a month." "Less." Sam didn't answer. "Sam." "I don't have a choice, Grace." His voice was tight, frustrated. "I've got $32 left. That's it. That's everything. If I don't find work soon, then what you give up, you disappear like everyone else." "I'm not disappearing." "That's what it sounds like." "Well, it's not." Sam turned to face her fully. "Listen to me. I made you a promise. I said I wouldn't leave. I said I'd keep coming back, and I meant it. But I can't keep coming back if I am dead broke and living on the street. So you'll go work at some ranch miles away and we'll just wait? You'll be safe here. The Porters are good people. They'll take care of you. I don't want the Porters to take care of me. I want you." The words hung in the air. Raw. Honest. Sam's expression cracked, just for a moment. Just enough for Grace to see the pain underneath. "I want that too," he said quietly. "But wanting isn't the same as having. And I can't give you what I don't have." "Then get it." "How?" "I don't know. But you figured out how to walk 8 miles through a blizzard. You figured out how to keep us alive when we had nothing. You can figure this out too." Sam stared at her. "You really believe that?" "I believe in you. That's the same thing." Something shifted in Sam's face. Something that looked almost like hope. "The ranch," he said slowly. "It comes with room and board. That means I could save almost everything I make. No rent, no food costs, just saving." "How much could you save?" "If I worked hard, maybe $30 a month, maybe more." "How much do you need for a place of your own?" "Enough for first month's rent, furniture, supplies." Sam did the math in his head. "Couple $100, maybe less if I'm lucky." "That's 6 months, maybe 7. Maybe. We can wait 6 months." "Grace?" "We waited 3 days in a frozen cabin thinking we were going to die. 6 months is nothing." Sam let out a breath that was almost a laugh. "When did you get so stubborn?" "I learned it from my papa. And from you." This time Sam did smile. Small. Tired. But real. "Okay," he said. "Okay. I'll take the ranch job. I'll save every cent. And in 6 months, you'll come get us." "I'll come get you." Grace extended her hand. "Promise?" Sam took it. His grip was warm and rough and solid. "Promise." The weeks turned into months. Sam left for Broken Creek Ranch at the end of January. Grace and Lily stayed with the Porters through the rest of winter, then spring, then the first warm days of summer. Letters came regularly, short notes in Sam's rough handwriting telling them about the horses he was breaking and the money he was saving and the plans he was making. Dear Grace and Lily, work is hard, but fair. The foreman's a tough man, but he doesn't cheat. I've saved $42 so far. Still a long way to go, but getting closer every day. How is school? Are you keeping up with your studies? Mrs. Porter says you're the best reader in your class, Grace. I'm not surprised. Tell Lily I'm carving her another horse. This one will be bigger. I'll see you Saturday after next. Save me some of Mrs. Porter's pie. Sam Grace read each letter 3 times, memorized them, kept them in a box under her bed. You miss him, Agnes observed one evening. Every day. That's natural. He's important to you. He's the only one who stayed. Agnes was quiet for a moment. Then, we're still here too, you know. Grace looked up startled. She hadn't meant it that way. Hadn't meant to dismiss everything the Porters had done. I know, I didn't mean... It's all right. Agnes smiled. I understand. Sam found you. Sam saved you. That creates a bond that nothing else can replace. She paused. But bonds can grow, Grace. Hearts can expand. Loving one person doesn't mean you can't love others too. I love Lily. And... Grace hesitated. The words felt strange in her mouth. Unfamiliar, but not wrong. And I think I'm starting to love you and Mr. Porter too. Agnes's eyes went bright with tears. Oh, child. She pulled Grace into a hug. We love you too. Both of you. From the moment you walked through that door. Even when Lily broke your good vase. Agnes laughed wetly. Even then. And when I yelled at Reverend Crane? Especially then. That man needed someone to yell at him. Grace smiled against Agnes's shoulder. He is kind of annoying. He means well, but yes, annoying. They held each other for a long moment. This doesn't change anything, Grace said finally. When Sam's ready, we're going with him. I know. You're not upset. Upset that you have someone who loves you enough to work himself to the bone for your future. Agnes pulled back and cupped Grace's face in her hands. Why would I be upset about that? Because we'll be leaving you. You'll be visiting us. There's a difference. Agnes wiped her eyes. Now go get your sister. Dinner's almost ready, and if she's out in that garden again, she's going to track mud through my whole house. Grace went. Summer faded into fall. Sam's visits grew more frequent as his savings grew. He'd ride in Saturday mornings now instead of afternoons, sometimes staying until Sunday evening. The foreman at Broken Creek was pleased with his work and had started talking about a promotion. There's a smaller ranch they manage, Sam told them one October Saturday. About 5 miles from town. The owner's looking for someone to run it, house included. Grace's heart stopped. A house? 3 rooms, small but solid. Needs work, but I'm good with my hands. Sam. The foreman put in a word for me, said I'm the most reliable hand he's had in years. Sam's voice was careful, controlled, but Grace could see the excitement underneath. They're going to make a decision by Christmas. Christmas. Lily had been listening from the doorway. That's only 2 months away. That's right. And if they pick you, then I'll have a house. Sam looked at Grace. We'll have a house. Lily shrieked and launched herself at Sam, wrapping her arms around his waist. A real house, with a real kitchen, and a real bedroom. All real. Everything real. Can I have my own bed? We'll see. Can we get a dog? Lily. Please, I've always wanted a dog. Grace said no, because we couldn't afford one, but if we have a house, maybe we can afford one now, and I'll take care of it. I promise. I'll feed it and walk it and... Breathe, Grace said. Lily stopped talking. Breathed. Maybe, Sam said. Maybe on the dog. Let's get the house first. Okay, but then dog? Then we'll discuss dog. Lily seemed satisfied with this. She bounced back to the kitchen to tell Agnes the news, her voice carrying through the whole house. Grace stayed where she was. You really think they'll pick you? She asked quietly. I think I've got a good chance. And if they don't, then I keep working, keep saving, find another way. Sam shrugged. I've been finding other ways my whole life. I'm good at it. I know you are. But Grace looked at him, really looked at him. He was different now than the man who'd walked out of the blizzard 8 months ago. Still lean, still rough around the edges, but there was something settled about him now. Something solid. No buts, she said. I just wanted to say thank you. For what? For not giving up, for keeping your promise, for... Her voice cracked. For being the person my papa hoped would come. Sam's jaw tightened. He pulled her into a hug, awkward and fierce. Your papa was a good man, he said against her hair. He loved you enough to let you go. That's the hardest thing there is. I know. And I'm not going to let him down. I'm not going to let you down. Whatever it takes, however long it takes, I'm going to give you the life he wanted for you. You already have. Sam pulled back. His eyes were bright. Not yet, he said, but soon. The letter came 3 days before Christmas. Grace was helping Agnes in the kitchen when William appeared in the doorway, an envelope in his hand. It's addressed to Mr. Samuel Callahan, he said, care of our address. Grace's hands went still in the bread dough. From Broken Creek. Looks like it. Can I? It's not your letter, child. But Sam won't be here until Saturday. That's 4 days away. I can't wait 4 days. I'll die. You won't die. I might. William smiled. Sam asked us to open anything urgent that came for him. I suppose this qualifies. He handed her the envelope. Grace wiped her hands on her apron and tore it open with shaking fingers. The letter inside was short. Official. Mr. Callahan. After careful consideration, the owners of the Broken Creek properties have decided to offer you the position of ranch manager at the Morrison homestead. This position includes full use of the house and outbuildings, a salary of $45 per month, and the authority to make operational decisions as you see fit. Please report to the main office by January 15th to complete the necessary paperwork. Congratulations. Yours truly, Harold Brennan Foreman, Broken Creek Ranch. Grace read it twice. 3 times. 4. Well, Agnes asked, what does it say? Grace looked up. Her face was wet. She hadn't realized she was crying. He got it, she whispered. He got the house. Agnes's hand flew to her mouth. William let out a breath. Well, I'll be damned. We're going home. Grace's voice broke on the word. We're finally going home. She ran outside without her coat, ran into the cold December air. Ran until she found Lily in the garden building a snowman with bare hands. Lily. What, I'm almost done. Look, I made him a face out of... Sam got the house. Lily stopped, stared. What? The ranch job. The house. He got it. We're going to live with him, Lily. We're going to be a family. Lily's face crumpled. She threw herself at Grace, sobbing and laughing at the same time, and Grace held her tight and let her own tears fall. We're going home, Lily said between sobs. We're going home. Yeah, baby, we're going home. They stood there in the snow, 2 sisters who had survived the unsurvivable, holding on to each other and on to hope. And somewhere in the distance, Grace could almost hear her papa's voice. Someone good will come, he'd said. Someone good will come. He'd been right. Sam Callahan had come, and he'd changed everything. Sam arrived 2 days early. Grace was in the kitchen when she heard hoofbeats. She dropped the dish she was drying and ran to the window. There he was, riding up the street in the pale December light. His horse was lathered. His face was split in the biggest grin she'd ever seen. Lily! Grace shouted. Lily, come quick! Lily came thundering down the stairs, nearly tripping over her own feet. What is it? Look! Lily looked, screamed, bolted for the door. By the time Grace made it outside, Lily was already in Sam's arms, laughing and crying and talking so fast the words blurred together. You got the letter. You know about the house. When can we go? Is it big? Is there room for a dog? Can I have my own? Breathe, Sam said. Lily breathed. Yes, I got the letter. Yes, I know about the house. We can go as soon as you're packed. He looked over Lily's head at Grace. Both of you. Grace walked toward him slowly. Her heart was beating so hard she could feel it in her throat. You came early? Couldn't wait. The foreman let you go. Told him I had something important, more important than horses or fences or any of it. Sam set Lily down and opened his arms. Come here. Grace went. The hug was different this time. Not awkward, not uncertain. It felt like coming home. We did it, Sam said against her hair. We actually did it. I never doubted. Liar. Grace laughed. It came out wet and broken. Okay, maybe a little, but only in the beginning. And now? She pulled back and looked at him. This man who had walked out of a blizzard and into their lives. This man who had kept every promise. This man who had chosen them over and over again when walking away would have been so much easier. Now I know, she said. Now I'm sure. The porters helped them pack. It didn't take long. The girls had arrived with almost nothing, and while they'd accumulated a few things over the months, books, clothes, the wooden horses William had carved, it all fit in 2 small bags. You'll come visit, Agnes said, pulling Grace into a hug. Her eyes were red. Promise me. Every Sunday. And you'll write. Tell me how you're doing. Tell me about school and the ranch and everything. I promise. And if you need anything, anything at all, you come to us. You understand, day or night. We're still here. I know. Grace hugged her tighter. Thank you for everything. Oh, child. Agnes's voice broke. Thank you for letting us be part of your story. William stood nearby, his hands in his pockets, trying to look stoic and failing completely. Lily was wrapped around his waist, refusing to let go. I don't want to say goodbye, she said. Then don't say it. But I'm leaving. Leaving isn't goodbye. Leaving is just going somewhere else for a while. William patted her head. You're not disappearing, Lily. You're just moving. There's a difference. You promise you won't forget us. Forget you. William laughed. Girl, you broke my favorite vase, burned a hole in my best apron, and convinced my wife to let you keep a frog in the kitchen for 3 days. I couldn't forget you if I tried. Lily grinned. The frog was fun. The frog was chaos, just like you. He crouched down to her level. I'm proud of you, Lily Whitmore. You've come a long way from that sick little girl who couldn't keep her eyes open. I'm stronger now. You've always been strong. You just didn't know it yet. Lily threw her arms around his neck one more time. I love you, Mr. Porter. I love you too, little one. Sam loaded their bags onto the wagon he'd borrowed from the ranch. The horse stamped and snorted, eager to be moving. Ready? Sam asked. Grace took one last look at the Porter house, at the window where she'd stood so many mornings, at the porch where she'd sat with Agnes on warm evenings, at the garden where Lily had built her snowmen and chased her frog and slowly learned how to be a child again. Ready, she said. They climbed onto the wagon. Sam took the reins. Wave goodbye, he told the girls. They waved. The Porters waved back, Agnes leaning against William, both of them crying openly now. Sam clicked his tongue. The horse moved forward. And just like that, they were on their way. The ride to the ranch took 2 hours. Lily fell asleep halfway there, her head on Grace's shoulder, snoring softly. Grace stayed awake, watching the land roll past, thinking about everything that had brought them to this moment. What are you thinking about? Sam asked. Papa? Sam nodded. He didn't push. I wonder if he knows, Grace continued. Wherever he is, I wonder if he knows we made it. I think he knows. How? Because that's what I'd want to believe if I were him. That somewhere, somehow my children were safe. That the worst thing I ever did turned out to be the best thing I could have done. Grace was quiet for a moment. Do you think he was right to leave us? Sam considered the question. I think he was dying. I think he was desperate. I think he loved you so much that he couldn't stand the thought of you watching him waste away. That's not an answer. No, it's not. Sam guided the horse around a bend in the road. Truth is, I don't know if he was right. I don't know if there's such a thing as right when you're backed into a corner like that. All I know is that his choice led you to me, and I can't regret that, can't wish it had been different. Even though we almost died. Even though. Sam looked at her. Does that make me selfish? No, it makes you honest. Same thing sometimes. Grace almost smiled. They crested a hill and Sam pulled the wagon to a stop. There it is, he said. Grace looked. Below them, nestled in a small valley, sat a house. It was exactly as Sam had described, 3 rooms weathered but solid, with a porch that wrapped around the front and smoke rising from the chimney. Behind it stood a barn, a corral, with 2 horses and fields that stretched toward the mountains. It's not much, Sam said. Needs work, lots of work, but it's ours. It's perfect. You haven't even seen the inside yet. I don't need to. Grace looked at him. It's home. That's all that matters. Lily stirred awake. Are we there? We're there. Lily sat up, rubbing her eyes. Then she saw the house and gasped. Is that it? Is that our house? That's it. It's got a porch. It does. And a barn. Yup. Can we get a dog now? Sam laughed. Let's get inside first. He drove the wagon down the hill and pulled up in front of the house. The afternoon sun was warm despite the December chill. Birds sang in the trees nearby. Sam climbed down and helped the girls off the wagon. They stood in front of the porch, all 3 of them looking at the door. Well, Sam said, you going to stand there all day, or you going to go in? Lily raced up the steps and threw open the door. Her shriek of delight echoed across the valley. There's a fireplace, and a table, and chairs, and... More shrieks fading as she explored deeper into the house. Grace didn't move. What's wrong? Sam asked. Nothing. She wiped her eyes. I just need a minute. Take all the time you need. Grace climbed the steps slowly, put her hand on the doorframe, felt the solid wood beneath her fingers. Real. This was real. She stepped inside. The house smelled like new wood and old smoke, and something that might have been hope. There was a main room with a fireplace, a kitchen area with a real stove, and 2 small bedrooms in the back. Lily had claimed one already. Grace could hear her bouncing on the bed and declaring it the best bed in the whole world. We'll need furniture, Sam said, coming in behind her. Curtains, dishes, all kinds of things. But the bones are good. We can build from here. We can build from here? Grace repeated softly. Sam put his hand on her shoulder. You okay? Grace turned and hugged him. Not awkwardly, not uncertainly. Just hugged him the way a daughter hugs a father. Sam went stiff for just a moment. Then his arms came around her and he held on tight. I'm okay, she said. I'm finally okay. The first night in the house was chaos. Lily refused to sleep in her own bed. She wanted to sleep with Grace. No, she wanted to sleep with Sam. No, she wanted all 3 of them to sleep in the main room by the fireplace. You have a perfectly good bed, Grace pointed out. But it's lonely. You were fine at the Porters. That was different. How? Lily considered this. Because you were in the next room. Now you're far away. I'm 15 feet away. That's far. Sam intervened. Tell you what. Tonight we all sleep out here. Tomorrow you try your own bed. Deal. Lily thought about it. Deal. They made pallets on the floor, piled blankets and quilts high against the cold, and lay there watching the fire crackle. Tell me a story, Lily said. What kind of story? About us. About how we got here. Grace looked at Sam. Sam looked back. Once upon a time, Grace began, there were two little girls who lived in a cabin in the mountains. With their papa, Lily added. With their papa. And their papa got very sick, so sick that he couldn't take care of them anymore. So he left them. But before he went, he wrote a letter, and in the letter he asked for someone to help his girls, someone good, someone kind. And someone came. Grace smiled at Sam. A cowboy, riding through the blizzard. He found the girls in their cabin cold and hungry and scared, and he made them a promise. What promise? Sam spoke, now his voice low and rough. He promised he wouldn't leave. He promised he'd come back. He promised he'd give them a home. And did he? He did. And they all lived happily ever after. Grace looked at the fire, at Lily's sleepy face, at Sam's steady presence beside them. They lived, she said. That was enough. Lily was asleep within minutes. Sam and Grace lay awake listening to her soft breathing. Thank you, Grace whispered. For what? For everything. For finding us. For staying. For this. She gestured at the room around them. All of this. You don't have to keep thanking me. Yes, I do. Because I know what it cost you. I know what you gave up. I know how hard you worked. Her voice caught. I know you didn't have to. Sam was quiet for a long moment. When I found you, he said finally, I was nobody. Just a drifter with a horse and a saddle and nothing to live for. I'd been that way for years, moving from place to place, working just enough to survive, never staying, never connecting, never letting myself care about anything or anyone. Why? Because caring hurts. Because people leave. Because I learned a long time ago that the only person I could count on was myself. But you stayed. With us. I did. Why? Sam turned his head to look at her. In the firelight, his eyes were bright. Because you needed me, he said simply. And I'd never been needed before. Not really. Not like that. He paused. You saved me just as much as I saved you, Grace. Maybe more. Grace felt tears rolling down her cheeks. I didn't do anything. You did everything. You trusted me when you had no reason to. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You gave me something to fight for. He reached over and squeezed her hand. You gave me a family. Dad. The word slipped out before Grace could stop it. She froze. Sam froze. Neither of them breathed. I'm sorry, Grace said quickly. I didn't mean I know you're not. I shouldn't have. Say it again. What? Say it again. Please. Grace swallowed hard. Dad? Sam closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were wet. I'd like that, he said, his voice rough. If you want, I'd like to be that for you. Really? Really? Grace moved across the space between them and curled up against his side the way she used to curl up against her papa before everything fell apart. Good night, Dad, she whispered. Sam put his arm around her and held on. Good night, sweetheart. 3 months later, Sam filed the paperwork to adopt them. The process was long and complicated, full of hearings and home visits and endless questions from people who didn't understand why a single man would want 2 orphaned girls. But Sam answered every question, passed every test, proved beyond any doubt that he was capable and caring and committed. The judge, a stern woman named Honoria Black, studied them for a long time before making her decision. Mr. Callahan, she said finally, I've seen a lot of cases in my years on this bench, a lot of children in need, a lot of adults claiming to have their best interests at heart. Yes, ma'am. Most of those adults don't follow through. They take the children in and then they give them up when things get hard, or they keep them but they don't love them, not really. Sam said nothing. He just waited. "But you, Mr. Callahan." Judge Black's eyes softened just slightly. "You walked 8 miles through a blizzard for children you'd never met. You worked yourself half to death to give them a home. You kept every promise you made, even when breaking them would have been easier." "Yes, ma'am." "Do you understand what you're taking on? Do you understand that adoption is permanent, that these children will be yours legally, morally, completely for the rest of their lives?" "I understand." "And you still want this?" Sam looked at Grace and Lily sitting beside him in their best clothes, holding hands so tight their knuckles were white. "More than anything I've ever wanted," he said. Judge Black nodded slowly. Then she picked up her pen and signed the papers. "Then, by the power vested in me by the territory of Montana, I hereby declare Grace and Lily Whitmore to be the legal daughters of Samuel Callahan." Lily screamed. Grace burst into tears. Sam caught them both as they launched themselves at him, and he held them tight, and he didn't let go. "It's official," he said, his voice breaking. "You're mine now. Both of you. Forever." "Forever," Grace repeated. "Forever," Lily echoed. And there in that courtroom, with a stern judge smiling despite herself and a clerk wiping her eyes, a family was made. Not by blood, not by birth, by choice. 1 year later, Grace found a letter. She was cleaning out the old trunk Sam had brought from the porter's house, looking for winter blankets, when she saw the envelope. Yellowed. Worn. Addressed in familiar handwriting. Her father's handwriting. Her hands trembled as she opened it. "My dearest girls, if you are reading this, then I have passed from this world, and you have found a way to survive. I pray every day that someone good found you, someone kind, someone who saw your worth and chose to stay. I want you to know that leaving you was the hardest thing I have ever done. Harder than losing your mother. Harder than watching my body fail. I walked away from that cabin knowing I would never see your faces again, and it broke something in me that will never heal. But I also walked away hoping that my last act of love would not be abandonment, but salvation. Hoping that by letting you go, I was giving you a chance to live. If you are reading this, then my hope was not in vain. Tell whoever found you that I am grateful. Tell them that they have given me peace. Tell them that they are the answer to every prayer I ever whispered. And tell them from one father to another, thank you for loving my girls. I love you both more than words can express. I will love you until my last breath and beyond. Your father, Jonas Whitmore." Grace read the letter 3 times. Then she found Sam in the barn, working on a broken fence, and handed it to him without a word. Sam read it. His face went still. His eyes went bright. When he finished, he folded the letter carefully and handed it back. "He knew," Sam said quietly. "Somehow he knew. That someone would come, that I would come, that I would love you." Sam's voice cracked. "He trusted me before he ever met me." Grace stepped forward and hugged him. "He would be proud. Of you. Of us. Of everything we've built." "You think so? I know so." They stood there for a long moment, father and daughter, holding on to each other and on to the legacy of a man who had loved enough to let go. That night, Grace wrote in her journal, "Today I found a letter from Papa. He wrote it before he died, hoping we would find it someday. Hoping we would know that he never stopped loving us. He was right to hope. We found Sam. Or maybe Sam found us. Either way, we found each other and we built something beautiful from the wreckage of everything we'd lost. I used to think family was the people you were born to, the people who shared your blood, your history, your name. I don't think that anymore. Family is the people who stay, the people who choose you again and again, even when leaving would be easier. The people who walk through blizzards and work through hardships and fight through doubt just so they can be there when you need them. Sam is my family. Lily is my family. The Porters are my family. And somewhere watching over us all, Papa is my family too. We are not bound by blood. We are bound by something stronger. We are bound by love. And love, it turns out, is enough. More than enough. Everything. She closed the journal and looked out the window. Sam was on the porch with Lily teaching her to whittle. Their laughter drifted through the evening air. Grace smiled. Then she stood up, walked outside, and joined her family. Her father had walked into a blizzard so that someone good might find them. Someone had. And they had never looked back.